Hey everyone, Mary here at the Reiki Place. Today I'm going to be talking about what Reiki is and how it can help you. So this is part one of a two-part series, and in this video I'm just going to be talking about how Reiki can help you if you're looking into having a Reiki session. And then in the other video, which I will link to this one, you'll be able to learn about how you become a Reiki master. So let's start with just talking about what Reiki is. Reiki is energy, energy from the universe. So there is energy everywhere. The sun produces energy, the earth produces energy, the moon produces energy, the distant stars produce energy, and this fills the cosmos with what we call universal life force energy. This is the same life force that comes into you just by virtue of being alive. It is the force that makes you be alive. We call it the life force or the vital force. And this energy comes into you through the chakras. Now, when you receive Reiki from a Reiki master or a Reiki practitioner, that Reiki master is channeling this universal life force energy. So what it's doing is it's energizing you. It's bringing more of that vital life force into your body. So you receive a Reiki treatment, typically on a Reiki table, which is like a massage table if you're attending in person. And the Reiki master or the Reiki practitioner will just move around you and is using their hands to channel energy. So we are channeling universal life force energy. We're not giving you our energy. We're not depleting ourselves, but we're bringing energy from this cosmic energy that we just talked about that is being produced from all over the universe. We're bringing it through our bodies and channeling it through our hands. And we learn to do this when we become a Reiki practitioner. You keep your clothes on, so it's a fully closed session. It's not like a massage where you take your clothes off. The table is made up like a bed, so it feels very comfortable. You have a pillow and a blanket, and you can get under the blanket if you want to. Now, you can also receive Reiki distantly. And in this case, you might want to be just sitting in an armchair or a recliner. You could be on a bed or on a sofa. I always ask people to be somewhere where it's comfortable for them to fall asleep. And it's just easier and more comfortable to receive Reiki if you're lying down. So lying on your bed or on a sofa is the best way to receive distance Reiki. Does distance Reiki really work? Yes, distance Reiki is just as effective as in-person Reiki. A lot of people like to come in person because you get the atmosphere of the Reiki room. You get to experience the dim lighting and the heat from the hands of the Reiki master. And when you're at home, you don't get the atmosphere that the Reiki practitioner is bringing to the Reiki session. But you do get the energy, and the energy that you receive, the vital life force, is just as effective. How can you receive distance Reiki, you might ask? Well, the same way that the sun's energy reaches us here on Earth, the same way that the moon energy reaches us. It's coming through the ether, through the space-time continuum, through the web of all interconnectedness that is present in our universe. Reiki feels different for different people. Often it will feel a little bit tingly. So sometimes you might get a sensation of energy moving through your body. Most all people report feeling more relaxed after a Reiki session because it brings down the brainwave state into a theta brainwave state. And when we are in theta brainwave, our body is very relaxed and it's doing its best healing. This is the state the body likes to get in when you're falling asleep or when you're in that trance-like place during your meditation. That's theta brainwave. And then delta is even deeper than theta, and that's when you're dreaming. So some people do fall asleep during a Reiki session. Not everybody does, but when you do get to fall asleep or you get into that what we call the Reiki trance, into that deep Reiki trance, that's when your body's doing the best healing. So don't feel like you missed the Reiki if you fell asleep during a Reiki session. Most people report after a Reiki session feeling very relaxed. If you're a person who has anxiety, and if you receive Reiki regularly, you will find that those things that cause you anxiety slowly start to not cause you anxiety anymore. So the same things can happen to you, external circumstances that normally trigger you into anxiety, and you'll find that over time you become less and less anxious or less and less triggered by those things. It can also help you move out of depression. So I will have a lot of people tell me that it's helped them move out of depression. Reiki is very good at that because it raises your vibration, and depression is low vibration. So let's talk a little bit about the other things that Reiki can help with, because it's definitely good for reducing stress, reducing anxiety, and reducing depression. And I'm not just talking about temporarily. If you receive Reiki regularly, you can heal completely from those kinds of conditions. It's very, very good after grief. Again, because grief is a low vibration. Now, Reiki is not going to stop you loving someone or stop you missing someone who you were very close to. But some of the deeper feelings of grief just melt away when you receive Reiki, and it becomes easier to process, easier to handle, and easier to move forward. A lot of people say that Reiki brings them clarity, that it helps them make decisions, that it helps them to understand where they need to make changes in their life, to move out of a stagnant place. It helps people get unstuck. Sometimes after receiving multiple Reiki sessions, people will change their job and find a job that is much happier for them, that is much better suited to their disposition. They will move away from toxic family members and make other positive moves that bring their life back into a much more positive place. So Reiki can also be very helpful with physical conditions because it assists the body in healing itself. And I'm going to talk in a couple of minutes about how Reiki is used in hospitals. But I am both a homeopath and a Reiki master. And so for deep physical conditions like chronic conditions such as arthritis, diabetes, autoimmune diseases, and any other physical condition that you happen to be wrestling with, I like to use homeopathy because it can go deeper and be a little bit more effective. But Reiki will definitely support you. And if you're doing any other healing modalities or taking medications, Reiki will also help to support you on that journey as well. A lot of people ask me, is Reiki the placebo effect? No, Reiki's not the placebo effect. But let's talk for a minute about what the placebo effect is. The placebo effect is a spontaneous healing or a spontaneous remission from a disease that has required no drugs, has no side effects, and all you had to do was want it to be possible, and it suddenly happened. In my mind, that's the ideal that we all should be striving for, is the placebo effect. Instead of saying, isn't that just the placebo effect? We should be saying, wow, how do we study this placebo effect so we can all have it, so we can all use it, so we can all make it happen in our bodies? But no, Reiki is not the placebo effect, and there are countless studies that back this up. Does the medical community recognize Reiki? Well, yes, they're beginning to. Reiki is almost mainstream now. It's used in many hospitals, in the oncology ward in particular, and also in the post-surgical ward, because Reiki has been proven to assist the body healing after surgery. It's also very, very helpful for the side effects of chemotherapy and radiation. So it's used in the oncology ward. There are lots of studies about Reiki that show that it's been helpful with a lot of other conditions. I personally like to be a little bit on the cautious side about what I promise that Reiki can do. Because you see, in a Reiki treatment, there's really only one person present, and that's the person receiving the Reiki. And where you are at, physically, mentally, emotionally, is going to impact the effectiveness of Reiki. So as I like to say, if you come in with carpal tunnel syndrome because you've been typing all day on the keyboard and your wrists are starting to ache, and you come in for a Reiki session, we can certainly give you Reiki for your wrists, and that's certainly going to help you, and you'll go away feeling slightly better with slightly less pain. But if you go back home and you sit back down at your computer and you start typing again all day, just like you did before you got the carpal tunnel, then it's going to come right back, and then people will say, well, Reiki doesn't work. You know, if you have arthritis because you are on a diet that's full of preservatives and saturated fats, and you have Reiki, yes, it might temporarily relieve your arthritis, but if you go back home and you get straight back on that diet full of preservatives and saturated fats, then your arthritis isn't going to improve. So that's why I'm very cautious about telling you what Reiki can help with. Now, as a holistic practitioner, I can give you other ideas for working on yourself at a deeper level with those chronic conditions, so that you can avoid having to use traditional medicines if that's your goal. But it takes you having to be willing and cooperating with the Reiki, with your holistic practitioner, to do the recommendations that are being given to you. Another question I get asked a lot is there science behind Reiki? Can science back up Reiki healing? And the answer is yes. There's been lots of research about Reiki, and there's lots of scientific evidence. So I'm just going to show you one study that was conducted by the Holistic Research Institute in Knoxville, Tennessee. And in this graph, you will see that there are two sets of points. Let's look at the upper set first. Those two lines on the upper part of the graph represent the energy of the healer. See how her energy rose while she was giving Reiki. Now this is the energy of the healer that rose when she was giving Reiki. Remember that we channel universal energy when we're giving Reiki, so we're not using our own energy. And so the study showed that the healer actually benefited from giving a Reiki session. And then the lower two lines represent the energy of the person receiving Reiki. And you'll see the lower line is the one before Reiki, and the higher line is where their energy vibration was after receiving Reiki. So this study indicates that both the person receiving Reiki and the Reiki practitioner both benefit from a Reiki session. And in fact, the conclusion of the study was that the energy must come from somewhere else. This, as Reiki practitioners, as Reiki masters, we claim that this is universal life force energy, that this is not our energy that we are channeling. And this study proves that. So going back to what Reiki can help with, a single Reiki session will help you relax and de-stress. At the end of a Reiki session, some people feel a little bit dreamy or in a Zen-like state, or it's like waking up after a deep sleep when you feel really refreshed. Multiple Reiki sessions will help you at a deeper level. The more you receive Reiki, the more your personal vibration is raised up. And as it raises up, the more you receive Reiki, the better it's able to stay there. So when you're at a higher vibration state, you're not in a depressed state. Depression is low vibration. One way I like to explain it is that your energy flows around you as a river flows down to the sea. Your energy has a flow, and your emotional states will cause blocks in the flow of your energy. That's like putting boulders into the river. When there are boulders in the river, the water can't flow smoothly. It has to flow around the rocks, and it creates little eddies, and in those little eddies gets trapped debris like leaves and twigs. And so the water can't flow smoothly. And that's what your energy field looks like when you're in an emotionally low vibration state, like depression, grief, anxiety, unhappiness, sadness, all of those things, demotivated, lethargic, you know, you name it. So when we give Reiki, it's like picking up those blocks out of the river, and now the energy can flow again. Another way to think of it is that your energy, the blocks in your energy are like ice cubes, and the Reiki has heat. It's a high vibration. Anything that is higher vibration is warmer, hotter than something that is low vibration. And I just showed you the studies that our vibration heats up when we're receiving Reiki. And so this heat melts the ice cubes. If you think of the blocks as being ice cubes, the heat melts the ice cubes. And what happens when you melt ice is the water just drips away. It just wisps away out of your aura, and that makes you feel so much better. Because sometimes you can be stuck on something because of a trauma that you're carrying from long ago. That trauma is actually blocked energy in your energy field. And when we release that block, then you can move on. And you might say cognitively, oh, I'm so over that. That happened years ago. I'm so over it. And you can be over it in your conscious mind. But if it's still trapped in your energy, you see, it's still an anchor weighing you down. It's like a hot air balloon that is full of air and it's ready to rise, but it's being anchored down tethered to the ground by the sandbags that are holding it down. And when you take away those sandbags, that hot air balloon can rise up into the sky, fulfilling its life purpose, which is to be a hot air balloon sailing through the sky. And that's what happens when you receive Reiki. Down, the anchors that are weighing you down are released, and your energy becomes lighter and more dynamic, more energized. That vital force is reignited within you. Everything seems easier when you're more energized. So I hope you have enjoyed this little video, learning a little bit about Reiki, and look out for part 2, where I talk about becoming a Reiki practitioner. In the meantime, stay well, and I'll talk to you in the next one.